And tonight we've got Esteban Martinez, so a really good speaker on SEO, PPC kind of topics as well. So he's going to share some insights on Google My Business tonight. So yeah, do you want to take it away? Ask some questions first.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Just a quick round of hands, just seeing who's currently running businesses or owns a business. Okay. And who's actually advertising online? Okay. And is anyone using Google My Business? Okay, it's a good number. Great, awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming out this evening, especially in this miserable rainy day. So I just wanted to actually go through, just briefly myself. So I'm Esteban. I've been in digital marketing since 2002, initially from the UK. Had my agency there in 2009, came to Australia in 2015, worked for 3 different conglomerate agencies, and now I have my own agency which is addicted to PPC. The fundamentals are still the same, so as I was saying to a colleague just a moment ago, understanding your customers, understanding how much time do you have, what budget do you have, and what are your goals. Because everything kind of sits around those 3 elements, as well as the best way to kind of like find your customers is in the digital space. It's not the only way, but it's a way that can be measured very easily, and you can find golden nuggets to then further amplify. So that's what I want to take you through today with local SEO and GMB, which is also known as Google My Business. So just really going a quick overview of what is local SEO, what is GMB Google My Business, understanding how the elements are changing with regards to consumer behaviour, what they're doing, then we're looking at where your customers are and what their intentions are, so you can align back to that. And then again, making sure that we're testing, trialing, tracking and scaling, so we know when we find things that work, we're able to repeat those, as well as find things that don't work, so we can again pivot our time and our efforts to get more success and growth. And then really again understanding how we can further optimise your GMB, and then just going through to engaging with your customers, because that's very important. Your consumers are very time poor. Most of them are on a mobile phone, either commuting, or they've got very small moments of attention. So how can you capture their attention when they are searching, as well as give them the best experience so that they consider your brand over your competitor. So just as a quick one, because obviously there's a lot in this slide, you can get this slide for free. It's already online. So the best way to do that, if any of you have mobile phones, which I'm assuming most of you do, if you Google PPC agency, if you do that now, you'll be able to actually see this online. So if you just take 1 moment of your time, if you just search for PPC agency, in there you'll see the Google My Business, and then if you then scroll down to Addicted to PPC, which is an agency, if you then click into that and go to products, you'll then see this very presentation, which is already saved there. So just to recap that, go to Google, type in PPC agency. If you scroll down where you see the Google My Business listings, you'll see the second or third one should be Addicted to PPC, and then from there, if you tap into that, under products, you'll see this very presentation. Okay.
I'll also email it out to our RSVP to meet up. So
sure.
Sorry, say it again.
So you should type in PPC agency, and then you should then scroll down and see some listings. But if not, I'll send it to you regardless, because obviously not everyone has the same Google search results. Okay, so really going into the presentation as to what is Google My Business, and more so what is local SEO. So ultimately it's a component of digital marketing where we need to be able to identify and get traffic and sales both online and in bricks and mortar. So the main way we can do this again is going to be through Google My Business. As you can see here, for any of you who have used Google My Business, you can obviously see that more people are searching online, and this is a great way to get in front of your consumers as well as bring them over to your brand. So what's quite important about local SEO, so whilst it's important to get business, to get traffic to your website or to your physical bricks and mortar store, it's also important that you're able to identify the opportunities and do everything you can to optimize these. So what I mean by optimizing these is this is a case study from Moz that was carried out in 2018, and it was showing all of the elements across thousands of websites in the US as well as in Europe, going, what elements actually make up Google rankings as well as make up local SEO? Because every company wants to get more customers that are locally, that will be able to walk to their store or drive to their store or buy online or pick up the phone. So one of the main elements in there we can see is obviously Google My Business, GMB, which is 25% that makes up for those signals. As well as we can then also see the other elements that we can operate and work within is the reviews. We can see the on-page signals, so that's your website, how well have you structured that. Then looking at citations, and citations are like directories, yellow pages, think Google Maps, think Bing Maps and Apple Maps, as well as personalization. So are you putting offers in there? Are you updating this? So really from the whole kind of structure, there's about 55% of these elements that we can optimize to get growth. So it's definitely within everyone's capability, and the best part is it's free. You just obviously need to identify these opportunities and then optimize around them. So one of the other things that is making this a perfect marketing storm is because there is obviously the rise of people who are searching for products and services with a near me proximity. So they're looking for plumbers near me, dentists near me, electricians, lawyers, solicitors, whatever it might be, and they're looking on the go. So they're looking at those kind of terms. So that means that there is huge consumer intent of people who are looking to visit these stores, check out these services in and around their area. So we're normally within a 5K radius. So again, if you do have a business and you are looking to service customers, then making sure that you're in this area is very important, as well as we're seeing this trend rise from Google Trends over the last 5 years, and this is a global trend that's happening across the world. So not only is this obviously a huge significant impact, we're also seeing another element, which is now that the mobiles have actually overtaken desktop as being the #1 device being used. And this actually happened back in, I think it was 2016. So that's sort of 4 years ago now, and this is further continuing to increase. So as more people have mobile phones, as more people are using them and they're getting smarter, they are effectively replacing laptops. So therefore, the use of mobile intent and people looking nearby is ever getting stronger and greater. So the fundamentals to make this kind of opportunity perfect and for you to capture your more consumers and business intent is really understanding your consumers before you even go to market, before you do any marketing or spend any money on your efforts. So really, this is really important to think, okay, well, whatever your product or service is, who is the end consumer of that, and what is the main thing that's keeping them up at night that your business can help provide a great solution to. So really, it's about having a great experience from the beginning, and the whole marketing strategy should actually sit around with the consumer intent at the very beginning. Because once you define the consumer, then you can then look at making sure that those pinpoints and those pain points are aligned and your business really aligns with that. So all of your content, all of your website or social media activity all tell that same story. So consistency is key. And then you can then find the right customers and then scale it through digital marketing practices as well as Google. So as I was saying, again, looking at the mobile devices, this is where we need to see how can we actually get people who are searching at a strong intent to buy from your brand. So as you always, if you heard the saying, first impressions count. So this is a screenshot I pulled just the other day of bakeries near me, because I love my fresh bread. And in this instance, for those of you who might be aware, this is Burke Street Bakery, a really great bakery, one that I love. So in this instance, again, consumer intent, I was looking just for a store service near me, and this was the one that came up. It wasn't at the very top of the listing, but it was actually one that stood out, one I was familiar with, and one I've been to. So with this, again, you can see quite quickly some simple information of obviously the name, its location, what kind of company or business it is. So breakfast, it's got outdoor seating, it's cozy. Roughly what kind of pricing it is, so it's kind of a medium price with the tiers, as well as how many reviews it's got. So out of 5, it's got a 4.5 star rating, and it's been reviewed over 1,000 times. So that's a really strong signal that people love going there, love their coffee and love their bread. So straight away, that first impression compared to the others, which still have great star rating, is going to make more people more interested to find out and go one step further. Once you click onto that listing, and as you can see here, then you can see there's a whole wealth of information that then further entices the consumer to find out more. and realise I haven't even clicked on the website yet. I'm just still in Google search results. I'm still in the SERPs. And from here we can see everything from the address, the phone number, the name of the store, the ratings, the hours of operation, when they're busiest, and it just goes on and on. So this is really good for those who are considering, should I go for this restaurant or that restaurant or this coffee shop, as well as really get people who are in that mindset to then go, actually, this seems like a great place to go, and therefore I'm actually going to either phone up or visit. And again, it can really sway consumers over. At the same time, if you don't have great reviews or if you don't have great imagery, it's definitely going to have an impact. So just think that, just think always about the eyes of the consumer. Think about what they're looking at. How does your business stack up even before they get to your website? Because these are appearing more and more often than your general websites. So really think about that when you are going through the customer experience. Then really looking at, okay, so what can we do to really optimize our Google My Business accounts? So yes, there's the fundamentals, there's the basics, but we don't want to do the basics because we want to dominate our visibility, we want to get great consumer intent, and we want to get to the very top of the Google listing. So this is just a scenario of where, this was a case study brought out in November, again by Moz, where they were optimizing and following these very simple strategies and steps to take a business here. I think Gary's living in Vancouver, from position 7 to position 2, and this occurred in, I think it was 65 days. So that can show through following the fundamentals, it can have a significant impact, and we want to make sure that we're not just setting them up, we're actually hyper optimizing them and turning up to 11. So one of the main things you may hear in Google My Business is NAB, but that's actually changed. NAB stands for name, address, and phone number, but that's actually gone even more so than that. So Google, again, being a search engine, they need a substantial amount of information to make sure that your business comes up, your bakery comes up over the other bakery. So the way that's done is, rather than being just focusing on the basics, we need everything that your business offers. So we need your name, your address, the phone number, the hours, your website, what kind of category is your business within, what photos do you have, what kind of description do you have. So you really need to go above and beyond and fill out all of these elements. And again, it doesn't take a lot of time to do, but you need to do it consistently, because the information you put into here also needs to be placed onto your website. So if you have, say, an 0800 number, but then you have a local number on your website, there's inconsistency there. And Google, well, the one thing Google doesn't like is inconsistency. So making sure that you have consistent information across your Google My Business listing, your website, and your social media, all of the dots need to align. Because always think, again, like in the eyes of a consumer, if they see one address, but then when they go to your site and there's a different address, there's going to be confusion. If they see a different phone number, there's going to be confusion. So making sure that you have the right information from the beginning is going to be pivotal to getting more visitors and more visibility. So there's a saying in marketing that in God we trust, and everyone else needs to bring data. So that's really, really important. So again, before you go down on any digital marketing, you need to make sure you have the right framework set up. So you're measuring stuff. You need to make sure before you're doing any execution, you're tracking the right elements. Otherwise, there's no point having hindsight and saying, oh, we didn't set up any tracking, we don't know if anything worked. So with that, here's an example of my listing. So if you just have a normal Google My Business and you link to your website, when someone clicks on your website, if you look at your Google Analytics, it will just say that visitor came organically. In theory, it did come organically, but it's not going to tell you that it came from your Google My Business. So in order to make sure you have visibility, where you have the elements of the website, or make appointments, or for some restaurants, there's even menus, there'll be 3 different elements that you can direct traffic through to if you are in the catering industry. And that's where you then want to add these extensions at the end of your URL. So again, if you go to this listing, for example, you click on those, you'll be able to see how those prefixes change. And then that way in Google Analytics, you'll be able to see, okay, this is where your traffic's coming from. Also, another way of getting great visibility and exposure is, as I mentioned previously, is getting citations. So citations are, as you can see, the ones such as like Yellow Pages, Yelp, get on Google Maps, getting Apple Maps, TripAdvisor, and there's hundreds and hundreds out there. So they pretty much operate as a directory. So before the era of the internet, everyone was having phone books, and normally you go to a phone book and you'd find a business, and that's how we would find companies. So this is basically the same process, but it's online. So it's not just a case of, yes, my address is on my website, it's on my social media, it actually needs to be across a whole number of different citations and listings. So that they're then further signals to Google that you are in those areas, that is your phone number, that is your address, and you are a credible business. So if you just imagine, like say, you want to get a dentist, and you don't know anyone in the area, you're going to go generally to Google, or you'd ask a friend. Think of citations as your friends. You'd ask 4 of your friends, and if they all said, this is the best dentist, you're going to go with that one. If they give you 4 different answers, you're not really sure which one to pick, it's up to you. So you make it easier for them, and make it easy for yourself. And the other way is obviously, oops, sorry, that was going the wrong way. This is another great trick that you can execute. So imagery is great, imagery and video content. So whatever your business is, I'm sure you have some photos. If you have a website, I'm sure you have photos as well. So definitely go to your website, take all of the high quality images you have, as well as take some more high quality images of your business, of your office, of your team, your products, all of the elements that make up your business, and you want to then obviously upload them into Google My Business. It's not just a case of saying, okay, I've got a dozen or so photos, I'll put them on my posting, on my listing, and that's it. You actually want to go above and beyond, and this is a website which is called geoimager.com. So you can take your images, you place them on this website, and you can actually place the exact GPS coordinates of where your Google My Business store is, or where your physical store is, should I say. So this is another huge signal, because Google's looking for the exact proximity, not just the postcode or the street number. They want to know the satellite coordination of your store. That's how kind of like specific it is. So you can't just say, oh, we're on 1 Martin Street. It's like, no, we want to know, is it a decimal point of 2 or decimal point of 3? That can definitely make a difference of giving that consistent information back to Google. So in doing so, you'll be able to take your dozen or so images from your business, you'll be able to put them into this website. It will then refile those images and say that those images actually came from that location, which is fantastic. Google will then see that as another signal to make sure that you get more exposure in that area. As well as the file name, you want to have the file name as the kind of the main category of your business. So if it's Burke Street Bakery, you might want to have image 1 as bakery Burke Street. Bakery cafe in Burke Street 2, and so forth. So when people are looking for cafes or cafe shops or coffee restaurants, your business will come up. There's no point calling it, image 1, 2, 3, and then uploading it. Again, you don't want to miss any opportunities, because this is where it can make the difference of you getting exposure or you being at the bottom and struggling. So this can definitely help you get more exposure. Also, when you do have these images, you don't want to say, okay, I've done all that work, I'm going to upload them all in one go, because that's what we call that just like a big spike. So what you'd see is within a day or so, you'd see a big spike and you'd get loads of visibility, and then it would come down again the next day. So say you have a dozen photos, you want to upload those, say, once a week, so that there's consistent activity coming through. Google loves consistency, as I was saying. So if you're able to do that, then you'll see that you get more and more visibility, you get more visitors, and then again, your visibility will continue to go up. The other way, what you can also see by following this tactic, that Google My Business also shows how much exposure you have, as well as how much other companies like you have. They'll never say who those other companies are or who your competitors are, but they will say, they'll give you some indication. So this is what I was referring to, and this is a snapshot from my one where I was initially just doing big dumps. I was dumping like 20 images at one time, and I was doing more research, and I thought, why am I getting these big spikes and I'm not seeing consistent activity? So then it was like, okay, well yeah, I'm just doing these big dumps. So now I'm doing it like every other day or every week. So I'm now seeing a gradual curve. And again, what Google is showing here is that other businesses or other agencies, they're getting around 380 visits per month, whereas now I've been able to increase that. I'm now getting around 600 or 650. So again, very simple. It's just a case of how do you execute, and are you able to do it in a consistent way to get consistent results. Also, this is in the GMB piece, And as you can see, Google's really trying to get more people to do this, more businesses to follow this model, because it's saying, post more to stay ahead. They're also, giving information as to, how much more exposure you get over your competitors or similar businesses. So you can really see Google's really trying to get more people to do it. So it's so important to do that. And again, it just takes a weekly or daily upload to get that growth, and then you can get more visibility. This is another element you can see inside it. So this is like a sample of Google Analytics that you see just in Google My Business. If you scroll further down, it will then show you how many times did you appear either in Google Search, which is just what you normally see every day, as well as how much exposure did you get when people go specifically to Google Maps. So again, you can see how much visibility you have, and then from there, that then converts into traffic, and you just compound those numbers. In addition, the other element that you can see in GMB is how many phone calls did you get, how many people clicked on your website, and depending on what the size of your company, you can also get how many directions people ask for, or if they were even sent messages. So all of those other elements, if you have a much bigger company, say McDonald's, you would have all of these other elements appearing here, and you'd be able to see more spikes and more trends, as well as you would see more consistent results in those areas as well. So the other piece is obviously once you start going down this model and you're exercising, not only best practice and you're optimizing the accounts, but you're doing it consistently, you want to be able to scale it out so you're able to get better results in a quicker space of time. So everyone wants to launch well and have a great experience. So in order to do this, we need to go beyond just listing out what category is your business in. So just like Burgess Hill Bakery, you can't just say, oh, I'm a bakery business, because then you can also say I'm outdoor dining, or elements of catering, or the coffee shop, or some restaurant. There's other subsections that you can go into. Google will only ever show consumers one level. They'll show you your primary category. So in my instance, it's internet marketing. Whereas there are, I think there's up to like 8 different subcategories you can go into. So just think about all of your businesses. And whilst you might say, well, my business specialises in this category, or in this area, I'm sure there'll be other similar entities, similar areas that your business also operates within. So by adding these elements to it, it further gives Google, okay, we're going to include your listing under these other categories, therefore increasing your foundation and increasing visibility. So again, get more exposure online. The other piece, which is awesome, this is a new feature that just came out at the end of last year, is posts, daily posts. So this is something that, again, you've seen similarly on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and now Google's rolling this out in Google My Business. So as you can see, this is a screenshot of the Google search page, but what this allows you to do is really dominate that whole area. So it's not just a case that your website is your main asset, it's actually your Google My Business, because this is what consumers see first before they even click onto your website. So you can have the most sexy, amazing looking website itself, but if people aren't seeing, aren't even going to click on your site because of your exposure, then that can definitely sway whether you get more exposure to your website. So the way to get those numbers up and to get more visibility is you can actually upload posts just like you would upload imagery or content in your Facebook page, in your LinkedIn page, or your Twitter page. And again, this appears at the search level, so before they even get to your website. So it can show even more information, it can show that you're active, as well as you then want to have topical stuff that's relevant to your business, that's going to be of interest to your users, and as well as you want to do it on a daily basis. So it's not just a case of doing it once a week. Hiya?
I'm really confused. Where do you actually upload those posts? Are you just putting them on your website, or
No,
are you actually uploading them into Google?
Everything is in Google My Business. So this exposure is Google My Business, if you want to get that. Okay, so good question. So as well as when you make a post, or if you see any posts in Google, these posts last up to 7 days.
Okay.
So if you want, you could just say, I'll do one a week. So you just have to do it 4 times a week, 4 times a month. Or if you actually want to get more exposure and really dominate that area, again, you can upload them every day. That's what I'm doing now, and I'm seeing more and more visibility off the back of that. Again, this is a new feature, which means Google want more people to be using it, adopting it, and getting more traction. You can see again how they're playing in this space and trying to mirror what Facebook's doing, what LinkedIn is doing, and obviously Google's doing everything to make sure you stay on Google.
And after 7 days they disappear.
After 7 days that would disappear, yeah, so it would just be shorter. Yeah.
So would you do sort of say a smaller post in Google My Business, but then you do maybe a fuller one and have that on your website, or would that be?
Yeah.
But, but sufficiently different that they're not considered to be duplicate content.
This isn't seen as duplicate content because this isn't actually on your website at all.
Okay,
it just sits in this arena. But in this example, when you click on more, it will then pop up and it then goes to the blog. So if, for example, your company has weekly or monthly blogs, or you've got a new product, or whatever your business is doing where there's something new and you want to tell your consumers, rather than just telling them purely on the website, this can be like another sample to get people aware of that. Because not everyone's going to go to your website and go under all the pages to find out what's new. So this is another way to increase visibility and get them to see what's new in that space. So if you like, if you don't want to do it every day, you haven't got that much time, maybe just do it every Monday morning, so then you've got the whole week for it to live, as opposed to doing it on a Friday. So just think about when do you want to post. Just like on Facebook or on LinkedIn, when do you put a post up? Because again, you're only going to get so much visibility until something else pushes it down. The beauty of this is because it's your website, there's no other business that's going to post to push you down, whereas on LinkedIn or Facebook, if someone else puts a post, of course you're going to get pushed down. Yes?
Is there a way to batch these posts? Just say I want to schedule a post every week, but I don't want to do it.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what I do. I do not wake up at 7 in the morning to post these. I have these scheduled out. So there are a number of posting softwares you can get. I think that they range from like $15 a month. So you just do a batch of say 10, and then you can post that every 10 days or however you want, whenever you want. So definitely build out your batch of content, like content calendars, and then go, okay, when do you want to send those out, and then just schedule it, and then you'll get consistent exposure.
Which one would you recommend?
I'm going to be using Publisher. I'll send you an email after this so you can get that, and there are great ways. And it also does the same, so they tie into your Facebook account or your LinkedIn account. So rather than you having to do this 3 times for 3 different platforms, you just do it once and it will amplify out. Again, further increasing visibility in those channels. Okay. So does this work? Obviously, this is where I found this online. So this is where other people were testing this out. They were seeing very good results. Again, they're all saying it needs to be relevant to the audience. You need to have the right keywords in there for it to get visibility. But again, suck it and see, test it, learn it, play with it yourself. I'm sure that you'll see great results. You've got to think, what are the core terms? What are the kind of keywords people are looking for when they find your business? Forget about your business name. Think about what area does your business sit in. Is it you're a plumber, you're an electrician, you're a lawyer, you're a consultant? That's the kind of things people will be looking for, and then you need to make sure that your content talks in that nature to get further results. Also, another great area to look at is the questions and answers. So this is, again, just around the corner, the event cinema. So when anyone can ask a question on your Google My Business page. So it's very, very important that you look at this, because if someone asks a question, you will not be emailed, you're not being notified, and it's up to you as the business owner to look at this and find this out. So in this instance, I think the person's asking, which is the best for me to set, which row is best for me to set up my fort with pillows and blankets? And you can see the reason why this particular question, even though there were 61 questions for the event cinema, the reason why this question appeared in the Google My Business search page is because it's had 3 upvotes. The upvotes is again a community thing. So if you have a Gmail account, you are a Google user, or if you have a YouTube account, anything where you have a Google entity, you are a Google user. And therefore Google then goes, anyone who has voted for this, that answer will then appear in the SERPs. So that's very powerful, because just imagine, like on your website, hopefully you have FAQs, commonly asked questions, and frequently asked questions. The questions you get asked time and time again, like the most obvious questions that you kind of get bored of listening to, you should actually take those questions, those top 4 or 5 questions that you get or more, and you're actually able to ask those questions on your GMB, and then you can answer them as well. So this is a great way, again, because Google want to get more exposure. Google wants to see this as a community platform as well. So you can ask those questions, and again, then when people are looking for your business and have those questions before they consider you, if that question in someone's mind is already answered, it's going to be another way of them going, actually, I want to speak to that company because they answer more questions and they're actually responsive. What's also important is that people got to ask some very, very weird questions. So they can leave some positive reviews, some negative reviews, but if you're not answering these questions, it can like escalate quite quickly, especially if you're like in the B2C space. If you're in any kind of restaurant or catering experience and you're giving and a customer has a bad experience, they're going to complain on here first because everyone will see this. Just think of this as like TripAdvisor on steroids. Because this is what people will be seeing and it's right in front of your website and you can't delete these. So if someone does have a bad experience or a good experience, hopefully, you want to make sure that you are answering these diligently and quickly, professionally, so that, that consumers can see you are actually responding, you are active, and that you do care about your customers, because that's what business is all about.
Is there software to manage that? If you've got 100 locations, but lacking resource to be able to do that consistently?
Not at this stage I know of if you have like multiple locations. There will probably be a software out there, but I haven't looked at that. So definitely check that out, and I'm not too sure at this stage. Another great hack you could do is actually directions. So again, if you think about physical stores, people want to get directions to your business. You want to be able to kind of get as much visibility, as I keep saying, to your website. So rather than, say, on your email signature, say you have a team of staff, you want to change their actual email signature so that rather than they click on your logo or they click on your website and go directly to your website, you actually want to change it so that they go to your Get Directions page on Google. Because again, whilst this is only one step away from a customer going to your website, what this does is it tells Google that there's more and more people who are looking for directions to my business. So this is actually a great little hack, because then what that means is it is signaling to Google that there's a number of people who actually want to find directions, and that's another way to signal that there's high intent. So again, you can experiment this on your Google My Business posts, perhaps even on social media, test and try it. But if more people are signaling to Google or say, how do I get directions to this store, then that's going to further make sure that Virtue Bakery gets more exposure than if you just take them straight to the website.
Can I just ask about there was a slide earlier where you had Google Maps and you put your location in. Now, with just myself, I'm a consultant and I work from home and I'm a distributor. I'm in a part of a distributed team. I don't want anyone going to my home. Is there another way to work this so that I don't have latitude, longitude?
Sure.
Because I don't want them going here, basically.
Sure. So if you don't have a physical store, as you're saying, consultancy service, then you can remove your address, so you don't have to say that, you don't have to give your address. You'll still obviously have an address where you operate from. So if you want to get more clients coming on board, then you can still geolocate your address. No one is able to see that information or the photo, only Google knows that location. So that's a safe way for you to upload your imagery, upload videos to that exact location. So when people are looking, your post will come up as in you're in that area. So it would say you're in like Surrey Hills, for example. It won't say you're on like 12 Burke Street. It would just say that you're in a bracket area, if that makes sense.
So what did you have to do? Say it again. You had to
so when you have your Google My Business account, you can either say, do you want to show your physical address or do you want to suppress that? So you can suppress that, which means no one would see that. No one apart from Google would see that. And that's a great way of you still having your Google My Business page, still having that exposure, but never revealing your actual address. You would need to show your phone number and your email, but I assume that would be okay. Yeah.
But that would put me in a location.
It would say you're in a suburb.
Yeah.
So yes, because again, Google's like trying to help people who are looking for, say, consultants in an area. There's no point if you're in, I don't know, Newcastle and appearing here, you're nowhere near that consumer. So it needs to be within proximity.
Yes and no. I think it's just probably future enhancements. If you are a consultant or you do work in a distributed team, you could be anywhere. Like
Sure.
I consult people in Brisbane.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, this is more so for like, I guess, aligned to bricks and mortar, but
That's
again,
what I meant.
it depends how you want to use it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Test the note by all means. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can chat to you afterwards.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's
the neighbours to do the opposite to that? To actually say, I have multiple offices in different cities, and you just list relatives or as locations. So you.
Well, if you legitimately have multiple locations, then that's fine. So say I used to work with Western Union, and they actually have hundreds of stores all over the country. So then that's verified, and that's legitimate. Whereas if you're just trying to say that you're in multiple locations and you're physically only in one, then Google will actually be able to see that, because the way that you create an account, you can't just anyone sets one up and goes from there. They physically send a postcard to that address. So that's how that they kind of go around that. And again, they heavily vet that. So again, you need to do what's within Google's policy. Yeah.
So instead of linking to your website, you said to link to directions?
Just in this scenario, yes, because obviously if someone's reading my emails, then obviously we're already exchanging conversation and we're already further down the road. So again, this is just another little trick to then get people to click, rather than on my website, they'll click on get directions. So again, they can then come and see me if they want to. And this, again, whenever someone is looking for get directions, that's telling Google that that person really is most likely to what's happened there? To go, it has a stronger intent. So just like if you want to get directions to Bunnings, 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to go to Bunnings if you've just done that action. If that makes sense.
But how do they get to your website after they click there?
Well, they can then also, there'll be another link where they click on the website. By that point, you shouldn't really be worried about that, because they already have your email address and your phone number, and they've already had conversations with you. But I can see that might be confusing, because they're going to be looking for your service on GMB previously. So this is just for another step you can do down the line.
Trying to do.
Yeah. Okay. So again, reviews. This is another critical step that a lot of companies are neglecting, a lot of companies are overlooking. So whether you're getting good reviews or bad reviews, you still need to be replying to them, as I said, diligently, quickly, and professionally. So again, this is another way of signaling to Google that that you're credible, you're actually in that location, and everyone likes seeing reviews before they consider using a product or service. Just like with the Burgess Hill Bakery, with over 1,000 reviews. So in this instance, you don't just want to ignore it, go, yep, I've got a review, good or bad, I'm busy. You actually want to be able to reply to it quite quickly. And what you can also do, beyond just saying thank you for leaving a review, good or bad, you can actually, again, reiterate the service or your brand or your company, so that, again, this is another way to tell Google that your business does that product or service. So in this example, if you actually look at my response, you can see what I've done is not only reply to my client positive feedback, but again, I kind of sugared in the PPC agency, because that's the main word that my business wants to go for. You could do the same thing if it's your business, if you're a plumber, if you're an electrician. So thank you for leaving a review for our plumbers. We're happy you had a great service with our plumbers, and if you need anything else, contact us again. Bondi Plumbers, for example. So that way, again, it's a great way that Google goes, okay, you are that company, you are that service, and it's further going to give them more visibility. So you're carefully putting in some keywords in there to get more exposure. So again, it's all about exposure, it's relevance, and it's in reviews. So when people are looking for, say, in this instance, digital marketing agency, this will actually appear in there, as well as it will bold the word PPC agency when people are looking for those. So it's another way to dominate that area and get more exposure over your competitors. Messages. So again, as I said at the beginning of the talk, everyone is searching on their phone, everyone's on the go on their phone, and people don't have time, everyone's time poor. So what this means is people want to communicate in the most easiest way possible, and what Google is experimenting with is you can actually message now via SMS, via text on your phone. So you can kind of see how this is really almost sidestepping a consumer even having to go to your website, because they can phone you, they can visit you, they can almost buy from you without even having to go to your website. And in this example here, you have to, again, have Google My Business first, and then you have to install either the Android app or the iOS app, depending on which device you have. And then this will then allow this feature here, where it then says message, and again this will appear for mobile users only. And then from there, that person, that consumer, can click on message, and then straight away there'll be a pre-populated message, and they can ask whatever question they want. So this is a great way that you'll get their email address, or you'll get their phone number. So again, you can either email them back, text them back, or you can phone them back. So again, you can only do this if you have both Google My Business set up, and you also have downloaded the app, which I've done. And again, this is an interface which you'll see directly in Google My Business. So really, they don't need to go to your website, they don't need to go to your contact us page, they don't need to do that legwork. Google's taking all of that legwork away and almost making your website redundant. So you can really see the importance of having all these elements. So those people who are time poor, who don't want to flick around and go to your website and hunt for the most important information as to where are you and can I pursue your product or service, this is a great way to get that exposure. As well as you can see here, ask questions and answers. So definitely see how Google's changing this platform. They're bringing out more and more features each and every week, it seems. So this is really going up against, as I was saying, Facebook and LinkedIn. And we're going to see more features come out this year. So really get on top of this as soon as you can to make sure you get more exposure. Okay. And then one of the last ones is you can see again how all of this is all a big gateway for Google to kind of further tie into more consumers, to get more reach, as well as inside the platform. You see quite subtly that they say if you want to get more reach, if you want to get more numbers, if you want to get more growth, try Google Ads. So this is where you can then, even if say you're a consultant and you're not getting the exposure in a certain area, you can then obviously use Google Ads. They call it Google Express. It's like a light version. And in this instance, you'll then see a Google ad appear at the very, very top of the listing. So this would be these two ones would be a cost per click. You would pay for that exposure, but it is another way to get in front of your consumers, get in front of those who are looking for you and your products and service. So you can either have just the organic listing, which is what we talked about earlier with Burgess Hill Bakery, or if you really want to just dominate the area and get maximum visibility, again, you can do that with Google Ads as well. So you can see how it goes hand in hand, and it allows you to further get more reach. So ultimately, that's it. I think the main things are, just to keep testing, learning, and scaling. Once you find what works for you, then obviously you need to consistently do that. And I think using those tools, and I'll cover that more afterwards, to get your posts scheduled every day, every week. Of course, all those platforms will definitely help. That's it for me. Thank you.